Okay, Unit 7, Day 3 homework prep. Take a moment to write down your learning objective. Graph a line using 2 points. Write the equation of a line given 2 points. Okay, so take a look at the first problem here and copy down those values into your table. Now recall, if I want to find the slope of that table, all I would have to do is make a fraction. The change in y with the change in x. So as I go from 3 to 5, that's 2. So 2 over, that's 1. The slope would be 2 over 1, or 2. Remember that we can verify the slope by plotting those points in the graph. So 3, 3, and 4, 5. If I have a line that goes through those 2 points, well, you can see that the slope of that line is going to be, let's see here, a rise of 2, a run of 1, it'll be 2 over 1. So the graph and the table should verify what the slope is. You can still make the fraction 2 over 1. Notice that we can also figure out what the starting point of that graph is. We can look at where it crosses the y-intercept. Well, it crosses down there where y equals -3, down here. So we should be able to write what the slope-intercept form is. The slope is 2, and the starting point is -3. We know that it should be y equals 2x minus 3. Well, I want to show you in this next little column how to figure that out without the use of a graph. So here's another path. All you have to do is this. You have to find the slope. Well, we found the slope using the table or the graph, so we know that the slope is 2. Next, you have to use one of your order pairs. It doesn't matter which one, the 3, 3 or the 4, 5. I'll use the 4, 5. And what you have to do is plug these values into the slope-intercept equation. Y equals mx plus b. So here I'm going to plug in the 2 for m, the 4 for x, because it's in the x position, and the 5 for y, because it's in the y position. When I do, you're going to see that the only value left is the b. Okay? Well, to solve for that b, let's see, 2 times 4 is 8. All we would have to do is just subtract that 8 away. And when we do that, we see that the b is -3. This equation gave us the same value that we found as our graph. Okay? Whatever path you prefer, you should use. Okay? Here's another path. We can use our point slope. This is what we found last time. For the point slope, you once again need a point and a slope. So let's use the very same ones. M equals 2 and 4, 5. On this one, we're going to have to realize with the point slope that the 4 is the x1 and the 5 is the y1. And then we're going to plug these values into the equation. Okay, so what we end up getting there is y minus 5 equals 2 times x minus 4. Okay? That right there, that equation, is an equation of a linear function. Okay? You can also notice that at 4, 5, if you look back at your graph, we have a point there that's on the line, and the slope is up to right 1. So both the slope-intercept equation and the point-slope form equation are giving us the same value. Okay, let's try the next one. Here I have the points -2, -5, and 1, -2. Okay, well, I'm going to treat these, I'm going to find the slope using the slope formula. You'll remember from the first semester that the slope formula is just like this. Okay, so I could go up here and label what these things are. We can find the slope with our formula. Okay, so I've got -2 minus a -5. Should be a 1 there. Then I've got 1 minus a -2. Okay. To subtract a negative is like adding a positive. So -2 plus 5, that's a positive 3. Okay. 1 plus 2 is 3. So 3 over 3 gives us a slope of 1. Let's plot those 2 points and look on the graph and see if we in fact do get a slope of 1. Okay, so -2, -5 is here. 1, -2 is here. Let's use our line here to draw our graph, just like so. Okay? And there's what the line looks like. Now notice, as we go from one point to the next, let's say we just use our 2 dots. Here I'd have to go up 3 and right 3. We're going to get the same fraction, that 3 over 3 that we got using our slope formula. So that verifies that the slope is in fact 1. Okay. We also could look at the graph and see that that line is crossing the y-axis at -3. Well, that tells us that we know that the slope-intercept form should be y equals 1x minus 3. Okay, we got that from our picture. Let's use the next column to verify that we get it from our equation. Okay, so a moment ago with our slope formula, we found that the slope was 1. So we're going to use that. Then take order of your order pairs. I'm going to choose the second one because 1, -2 looks a little bit friendlier than the other. And there's my x. There's my y. Let's plug these values in. Okay. -2 equals 1 times 1 plus b. Plus b. 1 times 1 is 1. So to get rid of that 1, all we have to do is just subtract it away. We end up with b is equal to -3. Well, there you go. There's the same value that we see with our graph. That verifies that the equation is, in fact, y equals 1x minus 3. Okay. How about the point slope? Well, take the slope and take one of the points. Let's use the top one, -2, -5. And let's remember that that first coordinate is going to be our x1 with the point slope form, and the second one is going to be the y1. And let's plug those values in when they go. So here we have y minus a -5. Remember, that's going to turn into plus here in a second, with a slope of 1, times x minus a -2. That's going to turn into positive 2. So we're going to end up with y plus 5 equals 1 times x plus 2. Notice that the point that you extract from here will be -2, -5. That's this point down here in our graph. And, of course, we're going to have a slope of 1. We'll go up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1, and, of course, end up back on that line. Okay? Next problem. Let's go to the back. Here we have a table that has 3 points. Okay, no big deal. We can still find our slope the same way. I'm going to do my change in y over change in x and get a fraction. Whoopsie. Okay, now notice I get 2 fractions here. Going from the first order pair to the second one, I get this. I get -2 over 4. Okay, that's the correct value. Going from the second order pair to the third, I get -1 over 2. Now, these are different numbers, but these are the same value. They both equal -1/2. So I'm going to go ahead and use that guy as my slope. Okay, but both would be correct. Let's plot the 3 order pairs. -2, 5, 2, 3, and 4, 2. When we finish our line, we see that, probably could have drawn that a little bit better, but we do see and verify that the slope is, in fact, down 1 and right 2. Whoops, positive. That would give us a slope of -1, 2. Okay, so it verifies it. You can also see that I would have just drawn that line a little bit better, that it should have actually crossed where y-axis is at 4. So we can just immediately write down that our slope-intercept should be y equals -1/2 x plus 4. Now, what I want you guys to do is just to take a moment over here in this next column. Use your slope, which is -1/2, and take one of your order pairs. Doesn't matter which one. Let's say 4, 2. Plug those values in the right spot. And find your value for b. Give it a shot. Okay, -1/2 of 4 will end up giving you a -2. we need to add that 2 away. We end up with the B of the starting point being 4. Well, looky there. It matches up with my poorly drawn graph. So we do, in fact, get negative 1/2 x plus 4. Okay? Now, take another order pair over here in the next column. Let's say you have 2, 3. You still got your slope at negative 1/2. And take this order pair and write it in point slope form. And here in a moment you can check with my answer. Okay. That would be an excellent equation in point slope form. Okay. Last one. 3 order pairs. I want you to take a moment to find the slope. I don't care whether you make a table, whether you use your slope formula, or you use the graph, but find the slope of the line that goes through those 3 points. And I chose the graph. You notice at 10.5, I can't even find a home for it. The graph's not big enough. Okay, but I can find the slope here by going up 6 and right 10. That, of course, reduces down to 3/5. So there's my slope. Now, go over here to the next column. Use that slope of 3/5 and take one of those order pairs. I don't care which one. Plug it into the equation, and let's see if we get the correct value for B. Go for it. I'm going to choose 5/2. Look at there. Take a moment to write down the correct equation for the slope-intercept form. There we go. Now take a moment. Choose any one of those 3 order pairs. In the last column here, use your slope. Remember it was 3/5. And write an equation in point slope form. I'll give you all 3 here in a moment that could work. Either one of those 3 equations, the black, the red, or the blue, would be a correct equation in point slope form. They'll all 3 give you the same line as what we found with our slope-intercept equation. Okay? All 3 of those, or actually all 4 of those equations, will go through our 3 given points. Okay, thank you very much for listening. Be prepared when you come to class. Thank you very much.